12-teen. Hello, my spectacular friends. I sincerely hope that your day is going well and that you yourself are also doing well. It is now time for another edition of the Nintendo News Roundup, so buckle yourself right on in there if news is a thing that blows you away. If not, you probably don't need to buckle up. You know, it's been a normal week. You know, nothing mind-blowing, I guess. So first up, the very big news item that I missed last week. It just didn't make the list, and I forgot to talk about it. I am very professional. This is a very professional news outlet, in case you could not tell. So, the Pokemon Company hyped everyone up with an announcement for their next big project. Usually something like that means mainline titles or the next just major releases in the Pokemon series. It did seem out of place. I did wonder that the timing didn't quite seem to fit for an announcement for major games, and it turned out it was not for an announcement for major games. It was for Pokemon Unite. And Pokemon Unite is a Pokemon MOBA, basically, you know, like a League of Legends kind of thing, except Pokemon. It's gonna be on the phones and it's gonna be on the Switch. The reception was not great. I think a lot of people were definitely disappointed that these were not major games. Personally, I'm a little torn on this. I wasn't that disappointed that it wasn't major games. The idea of a Pokemon MOBA is genius. I mean, I know, like, the genre's been around for a while. It's kind of, you know, some people might say, oh, it's been here, done that. I don't know. But to me, it just seems like a fine idea. Like, why not? I actually admire the Pokemon Company for just how many games they put out and how many different projects they try. You know what I mean? Like, I often accuse Nintendo of not using their IPs to their fullest, so it's kind of nice to see Pokemon, like, they do it. A Pokemon MOBA? Why not? I don't know. However, it is a little worrisome that they are doing this in collaboration with Tencent. Now, this is a subject that is way too big for the news roundup, or even just me. Even I don't know enough about it. But I will say that Tencent as a corporation, they're not good, very. The gist of it is that they seem to be coming from a pretty bad place and they do some pretty bad things, and so them teaming up with the Pokemon Company is, yeah, it's worrisome. It definitely is, and I know even Nintendo was, I believe they work with Tencent for distribution in China of Nintendo products, and like, that's also scary, and it's never fun to see the company that you like working with a company that, you don't like. Again, it's a very nuanced discussion. I'm not even going to try to go into it here, but yeah, I will say it's what makes me torn on this whole thing. I do not like them working with Tencent, but I also do think, like, I don't know, yeah, Pokemon MOBA. Has that ship sailed? Is it too late for that kind of thing, or will it be a big success? We will just have to wait and see. But if the backlash is any indication, I don't know. I mean, I guess the hardcore vocal internet fans probably aren't the ones that are being targeted with this product, so I'm leaning toward it, you know, probably being a pretty decent success. So you might remember a while back, Platinum Games had a Kickstarter to port a remaster of Wonderful 101 to the Switch and various other consoles. The campaign was a very big success, and it was a very big, happy moment for the little guys. It was awesome that they were getting to do what they wanted to do independently, as is often the case with Kickstarters, but then it seems that some drama has struck the situation. It seems that some backers, particularly in the UK, are being charged extra for shipping to their country. Most of them feel that they did not agree to paying this extra fee, they did not expect it in any way, and it was bad enough before, but then recently Platinum Games actually chimed in to make an official statement on this, and they basically said, too bad, so sad, yo dad. They said, hey, sometimes it costs a lot of money to ship stuff, and local governments can add in extra fees and stuff, so sorry, but you gotta do it anyway. They claim that this information was available within the original campaign, but many people were quick to point out that this information was not available within the first few days of the campaign, which is, of course, when most people made their pledges. So those people are rightfully upset because they never had that information. And this is a very sticky situation. Like, on the one hand, it is true, I've followed a lot of Kickstarter projects. I know that sometimes there are unexpected fees, just They're just ridiculous fees when shipping to some, I mean, I have had contest winners and tried to ship something to them and it just cost a bunch of extra money. I've had people ship things to me and I had to pay a ransom to get it out of the post office. You know, I get that. Some things just happen, but at the same time, well, one, instead of just shipping a bunch of the product to the UK, they're like shipping it to the US and then shipping it to the UK from there. And that's just strange. No one really knows why they're doing it that way. That seems like it would be expensive. And then of course, like, yeah, they didn't properly tell everybody. And then like, how many of your customers are in the UK? Like, what percentage of the pledges came from the UK and are going to have this extra cost? Because you couldn't just eat that. I mean, like, the campaign was very successful. If I were the person running it, even if I were kind of miffed that I had to, oh, well, if someone's gonna pay this extra price, it should be the backers. Even if I felt that way, it might just be a good idea to eat that cost, that, you know, 17 pounds per copy of just people in the UK, just to not look like a huge jerk. You know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of really good vibes with this whole campaign. Everyone was super happy about it. Like, they don't need something like this to come along and make people, one, doubt the company, doubt Platinum Games and any of their future campaigns, if they do have them, and two, doubt Kickstarter itself. I know this is a very hot topic. A lot of people think that Kickstarter's never worth it because of risks for things exactly like this. Not gonna launch into the whole thing. I personally don't feel that you should throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think Kickstarter has done a lot more good than harm. It has actually legitimately enabled a lot of independent projects to be created when they wouldn't have otherwise. It's a very good tool, but obviously plenty of people can abuse the tool, so I'm not willing to say this is a good reason why nobody should ever do Kickstarter ever, but like, a lot of people do feel that way, and that's exactly what you're doing when you don't eat the cost and when you pass it off to the backers. So it's a little weird. It's like they're saving a couple bucks now, but at what cost? They have even established that they might want to do more campaigns going forward, and are they going to? Because they're kind of burning the bridges right now. They're creating a lot of bad feels for them. Back it up. They're making a lot of people angry, and so I don't know. I do have to wonder what they're thinking right now. Moving right along, Super Nintendo World, which I seem to report on a lot, was scheduled to open in Universal Studios in Japan this year. It was going to coincide with the 2020 Summer Olympics. Unfortunately, yet also very understandably, the opening has been postponed. The current plan is to either wait for the fall or, barring that, push the opening into next year. And I know it's my job to know what's going on in the news, but I actually didn't know it was that close. I didn't actually know it was that close to opening. I thought they still had a ways to go. So, I mean, really, that's not that much longer to wait. Hopefully, they will be able to open, you know, next year or something, but that's a very big hopefully that all of us are feeling for reasons other than Super Nintendo World right now. Kind of goes without saying, doesn't it? In more exciting Super Nintendo World news, though, yet another video has surfaced on Twitter, and this video offers us the most detailed, comprehensive look at the park in its most completed state yet that we have seen. We see even more new animated, like, animatronic elements, as I was hoping for. We got a cool piranha plant, we got Koopa shells bouncing back and forth, even a little like a mushroom, just kind of like doing that thing where it kind of bounces slowly. I like that. I positively love how perfectly geometrical everything is. All of the lines are parallel, like across the entire park, and when seeing it from up above, it just it's a very, very, very pleasant visual. It's still hard for me to imagine people in it, because to me it's still just a series of Mario stuff and ledges, and I don't even know what people are going to be doing in there. I just see like this upper, you know, decorative stuff, but it is very, very cool. Bowser's Castle looks so cool. Oh, I think it looks so neat. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to go. I cannot wait for this to come to America, and I cannot wait to go. Looks so good. In other news, Retro Studios' hiring spree continues with yet another industry veteran known for working on big AAA projects. This time the hire was Bat Nandakumar, who previously worked on Call of Duty games at Treyarch. Every time we see another one of these hires, it seems to solidify the idea that Retro Studios is purposefully looking for people in these fields. People with experience making big, crazy, huge graphical explosion games. And as usual, I will say that that is quite an exciting idea. I do have to wonder what these types of people could bring to Metroid. Does that mean we're getting a big, crazy graphical explosion Metroid? Oh, one can hope. One can dream, can't they? Wow. Next up, we've got our weekly dose of Nintendo guys said such and such news. Seems the executives are pretty much always in Q&A sessions with the shareholders or whoever. And this time we got ourselves a good number of quotes. When asked about Nintendo Directs, President Furukawa said the following: "We feel Nintendo Directs are an incredibly effective way to present information directly to our customers in a very straightforward way. Inversely, times change, and so does the most effective way to promote products, so there is a chance that a new, better way to present this information comes about. So we always like to examine all of the possible ways to communicate this information to customers." Many people and outlets, grumble grumble, have taken this as Nintendo saying, hey, hope you don't like Nintendo Directs too much because they might not be around forever. You know, a lot of people are wondering if this really is the beginning of the end, especially since we haven't had one for a while and they've been doing stuff on Twitter. So obviously, like, the idea of Directs going away is kind of hovering over our heads. I really don't take that from this. He's just saying they might not be around forever. If we find a better way, then we might do that better way. You know what I mean? Like a better way, not even just not doing them at all. I mean, we had a similar quote some time back. I even did a video on it when I want to say it was it also Furukawa? I can't remember, but they were like, hey, consoles might not be around forever. And if something better comes along, we'll do that. And like, he's just telling the truth, you know what I mean? It's true, times change, technology changes, so I don't know, I mean, like, it's certainly possible that they start releasing stuff on Twitter and they go, you know what? This is better. It's better than doing directs because we can just do it and not have to worry about the whole presentation. I don't know what their definition of better is. Personally, obviously, I would not like that. I like Nintendo Directs, but overall, I guess this specific quote doesn't worry me too much. But of course, I will be, you know, keeping my eyes out for if they ever do eventually make some sort of permanent change to a Direct, or if we're getting a Direct or whatever. Also, in the Q&A meeting, or a Q&A meeting, again, I don't know how many of these seem to go on, President Furukawa finally did it. Finally addressed the issue of JoyCon drift and apologized for it. He said he apologized for the inconvenience caused by JoyCon issues. Good to admit that it's a thing and get it out there. But he also said he couldn't say much more because of the ongoing lawsuits with the company because of the JoyCon drift. Obviously, we've heard all of this a lot of times. We won't launch into it here, but it's nice whenever Nintendo feels like saying anything about it, you know, because it's been like the elephant in the room for a long time. It's a very, very serious problem that they are not properly addressing. So at the very least, it's nice for him to just be like, you know what, we're sorry. But, you know, actions speak louder than words, so we will see if this actually leads to anything, or if any of the lawsuits will, or what. I don't know what their next plan of action on this is. Also around this time, Nintendo shareholders were asked to give approval ratings for Nintendo's top executives. They voted for or against, which created an approval percentage, and the results were pretty positive. President Furukawa, 95.47%, Shigeru Miyamoto, 98.32%, Shinya Takahashi, 98%, Ko Shiota, 98%, Satoru Shibata, 98%. Which, I mean, you know, it makes a lot of sense. Usually just the better a company is doing, the higher those approval ratings are going to be, especially because we know that shareholders don't often know the actual workings of, like, the company, especially when it comes to video games and what video games are coming out and, like, what what customer satisfaction even looks like. They just look at the raw data, and of course, Nintendo has been impressing the heck out of everybody with all of these amazing reports about Animal Crossing selling like crazy and the Switch selling like crazy. So not super duper surprising. It is interesting to see Furukawa a couple points below the others on there, but that could just be because he's the leader, so if anyone's ever upset about any aspect of the company, they're just that much more likely to kind of be mad at him about it. I don't know. In other news, Nintendo recently announced that they will stop selling digital game download codes at European retailers. This is just in Europe, though, at the moment, nowhere else, and I do find this very surprising. Nintendo obviously makes a lot more money when they sell a game in their own eShop. When they sell a download code through a retailer, that retailer is getting a cut. So I was always under the impression that they only sold download codes at retailers because they didn't want to make the retailers upset. They didn't want, Nintendo didn't want their own platform to be a full competitor to the retailers. That would make the retailers not want to stock physical games either. And yet for some reason they've decided to just plain old stop, but just in Europe. Many people are upset by this. Here in the US, prices are pretty much the same across all platforms. MSRP, $60, whatever. But apparently for a lot of people, these were the cheapest way to get these versus the higher prices in the eShop. So for anyone who will be negatively affected by this, I am sorry. That sounds like it really stinks. I've heard that the pricing on the eShop can be ridiculous, which is still weird to me. MSRP, it's just like across the board here. It's $59.99. It'll be that way at Best Buy. It'll be that way at Walmart. It'll be that way in the eShop itself. So yeah, that's a bummer. So here's something I didn't know before. Apparently Nintendo was employing a company called HackerOne, which specialized in trying to find security weaknesses in hardware and software. For the entire life of the 3DS, HackerOne has been responsible for trying to find these weaknesses, and that is how Nintendo has been able to make the system more secure through constant updates. However, it seems that the 3DS has been dropped from the HackerOne program, which strongly suggests that stability updates for the 3DS could soon come to a stop. Obviously, this sort of thing has to end sometime, so it's not exactly surprising, but it is at least worth mentioning on a Nintendo News Roundup. Leave your opinions below. Next up, another sales milestone for Animal Crossing New Horizons. It has become the Switch's first boxed game to sell 5 million copies in Japan. And considering how popular this game is in every territory and how popular it is to download it digitally, 5 million boxed copies just in Japan that's a thing. It's a thing, man. So recently in an interview, the president of a company called M2 revealed that the Switch is already able to run Sega Naomi titles. This is another thing that I did not know until I read this news, but apparently Naomi is the name of Sega's arcade board, like the tech that runs in a lot of their arcade machines. The exciting part is Naomi shares a common architecture with the Dreamcast. This suggests that they could already have Dreamcast games running on the Switch, which of course bodes well for the idea of Dreamcast games hitting Sega's Ages line. I mean, Dreamcast games coming to Switch in general has always felt like a great inevitability, but it is nice to see some confirmation that it could be happening in the near future. Or not. Who knows? Finally, we have yet another indie event. On July 11th will be the Devolver Digital Direct. Devolver Digital is a very good indie publisher. They've published and developed a great number of very high quality titles, many of which have hit the Switch. So as usual, this is one to look out for. The last few years, they've done their own like E3 kind of presentations, and they've been very, very entertaining, though very adult. very adult, yeah, very kind of graphic, but certainly very creative. And last year's sort of started a story thread that I was already disappointed I'd have to wait an entire year to see where the story went. I know it's weird to say that. So I was really recently, I was like, oh no E3 meant no Devolver Digital, oh no. So I don't actually know if this is like what they were going to do at E3 or if this is a different thing, because last year they already kind of parodied Nintendo Directs, but this is another Devolver Direct, so I don't really know I don't know what their plans are. However, whatever happens, whatever it ends up being, I am going to be sure to check it out. Well, that is it for this edition of the Nintendo News Roundup. You are beautiful, I love you very much, and please, please, please have a wondrous and perfect day.